Hello, welcome. If you are new here, I am Paige, and this is Yoga with Paige. This month, we are kind of talking about a theme of sobriety, overcoming addiction. It does tie into yoga as far as our mental union with our bodies, our connection, and our mental health. Yoga is not just physical movement or stretching, it is the way that you conduct your whole entire life, how you treat yourself, how you treat others, and what you do with this information, how you treat your body. So if you've been following my journey, I am on the Sobriety Dry January Challenge. Today is day 8, and I thought it would be a great point to give you a little week update of kind of the process, what I've been learning so far. I've been giving you quick little shorts here and there, but this has been a challenging time. I knew it would be difficult. I knew it would be hard and it would come with its ups and downs. I was prepared for that. But I am still surprised at how much I feel like I've learned in the past just 8 days. I feel like I've lived 18 years in these 8 days, and I really have learned a lot about myself. So I wanted to give you a few of these changes, these mental changes. Obviously, some things have been happening to my physical body, but not too much happening on that front yet. Hopefully my skin will begin to clear up in the weeks to come and things like that. But right now, this first week, I would categorize week 1 of sobriety as the week of mental changes. Because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in here. So let's dive in and I can kind of let you know what has been going on in this crazy head of mine. So the first thing that jumped out at me from day 1 was the emotions, the overwhelming amount of emotions that I didn't even know I was carrying around. So quick little backstory, I have always been an emotional person. I've been told this my whole life by everybody. I have felt it my whole life. I am always up and down, very much battling with all of these conflicting, contrasting emotions and trying to get a grasp, a handle on them, which is one of the reasons why I love yoga so much and why I have such a passion for this practice and love to share it with you. It does help me kind of stabilize my emotions, connect deeper in with myself. And I thought before I had begun this journey that I had a decent kind of grasp on my emotions. If you would have asked me before, I would have said, yeah, I'm pretty in tune with my emotions. I think throughout my life, I have kind of been working through the crap and I've been getting to know myself better. Boy, was I wrong. There were obviously still so many things, so many emotions and feelings that I was hiding from, that I was choosing to cover up with the booze. I was reaching for a drink instead of reaching for my journal, or reaching for calling a friend, or reaching for a walk, or just reaching inside myself. Because once I stopped hiding and using alcohol at night or at a specific time of day, once I kind of started feeling that way, or say I started feeling a really strong emotion that I didn't really want to feel and I would reach for that drink, once that was out of the equation and I had to just deal with all of this, it came bubbling up to the surface more extravagantly than I thought it would. I didn't even, for the first few days, I would say for the first 2 or 3 days, I didn't even know what I was feeling. All I knew was that my body felt this intense urge to just purge. The urge to purge. I was just crying for no reason. I had no idea why I was crying. I wasn't consciously sad. I couldn't pick out reasons why I was crying or tell you like, oh, I'm sad about this or this upset me. I had no idea why. And that non-idea was kind of frustrating and it would make me just cry even more. I remember the first time I went to work at night and came back, I was so exhausted and ready to just relax, but I was just bawling in the shower and I couldn't calm my emotions down because I'd had to tamp them in and hold them in the whole time I was at work. They just came pouring forth. Obviously, my body needed to just release these tears and all of these emotions that I had hardened myself up to from the alcohol. The alcohol was a very apparent, at this time, a very apparent veil that I was using to shield myself from what I didn't want to work through. And it surprised me because, like I said, I thought I had a decent grasp on my emotions. I've been becoming aware of different feelings and different instinctual reactions, different behaviors, but I've been working through a lot more of that now. So that was one thing that really stood out to me within the first week. I've been seeing that pattern. Another thing is I'm feeling at the same time more and less anxious and stressed. So a background knowledge of alcohol: when you drink alcohol, it does affect your brain chemicals, your stress and your anxiety response. It kind of inhibits it. It tamps it down. It relaxes you, makes you feel like, okay, everything's not so bad. I'm not so stressed about this anymore. You start to kind of relax. It weakens your stress response, your body's stress response, so it doesn't feel as stressed out. So then when you take alcohol out of the equation, that has to kind of reverse. Your body has to figure out how to kind of come back down to its normal basis homeostasis level of your cortisol and your anxiety response. So this took days for me to feel. The first 5-ish days, I felt a little bit more anxious, a little bit more stressed out, but I think it was about day 5. And if you want to look back, I have these shorts in a playlist where I category every day part 1, part 2, so you can look through and see how the feelings progressed. But I think it was about day 5 where this overwhelmed me. I was at work all day with people and I was in a good mood. I was having fun. I was joking around. I was starting to feel kind of my personality coming back. But the 8 or 9 hour stretch of being with people and like putting on that show, at the end of it, my cortisol level was just way up here. And normally I would reward myself after work with a nice little drink, I made it through the workday. And I knew that I wasn't going to have that. So my actual physical body was feeling the cortisol and the anxiety stress response at a higher level and in a different way. I do have kind of a history of anxiety feelings, like social anxiety, my own head, working through that stuff. But this was different. This felt different. It wasn't like a social anxiety as in like, oh no, I wonder if I should say this, or I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, that kind of social anxiety. It was like a fidgety, my body felt anxious. So my heart rate was going a little bit faster. I wanted to fidget. I was picking up my fingernails a lot. I was jiggling around up and down. And those physical sensations, I sent a message to my brain to tell my brain that I was anxious. So it was like the physical anxiety responses came first and almost made me feel really, really anxious. So it was very interesting. Usually it's the opposite way. And this may feel different for you if you're watching this because you're going through the same thing. You may be feeling different sorts of things at different times, just letting you know how this experience was going for me. So my anxiety kind of like flip-flopped. And I started to feel the physical sensations, and it would take me a little bit to realize that, wow, I wasn't just full of energy and happy and manic running around. I was anxious. I was anxiously running around table to table. What can I do next? Okay. Can I feel this? Can I do that? It was an anxiety response. So once I was able to pinpoint that, I felt a lot better, but it was very interesting to watch myself go through that. But also on the flip side, I feel that without the alcohol in my system, it's now been 8 days, I am able to stand back and view my emotions a little bit easier from an observer viewpoint. So I'm not so entwined with my emotions, like these are who I am. If I'm feeling low motivation, for example, I used to get really, really anxious about it and be, oh my gosh, why am I unmotivated? How can I motivate myself? What can I do today to still be productive? Even with this lack of motivation, I would freak out. And today, I use that as an example because today I have a little bit less motivation, but I was fine. I realized from standing back a little bit that this is just one day. This is just a few hours. This is a temporary feeling of lack of motivation. Later, maybe I'll have more, or maybe tomorrow. And it's okay. It's like I didn't have this natural gut response of, oh my gosh, I'm lacking motivation. What do I do? Oh my goodness, how do I help myself? No, it was like, okay, I'm a little less motivated today. All right, so that's how we're gonna feel. It was just my natural response was not as anxious. Like I feel a little bit more calm, and I'm thinking it's because it's about day 8 with no alcohol in my system. It's finally kind of purging itself of this substance. So it's kind of getting out, working its way out. And that's why I'm starting to maybe relax on the anxiety. We'll see tonight because I work in a few hours. And this is an anxiety inducing shift. So we'll see how it goes tonight. But that's why I say I'm like more anxious, but less anxious. It's just anxiety in a different way. If any of this is making sense to you or resonating with you. I have also learned throughout this process that this addiction to alcohol, at least for me, is more of a willpower thing than anything. So sure, sometimes I might kind of crave or yearn for a drink, but it's not in the physical sensation of like, I'm sweating, I'm withdrawing so bad. If I don't have a drink, like I'm going to still feel like crap for however long. It's more of a mental thing because I used to use drinking as like a reward, after a long day or whatever. But if I can just tell myself no, or if I can distract myself for a few minutes or whatever, if I can just say, hey, you want a drink, but you're not going to have one, it's more of a willpower for me. And I thought, to be honest, my drinking hasn't been super, super bad over the past few years. I've been kind of increasing my dosage. I definitely had a dependency on it, but I'm not as physically withdrawing as I honestly thought I might be. It did last for a few days, but it's more of a mental withdrawing effect. So it's really just all about your willpower, how badly you want to achieve this goal of not drinking for X amount of time. And it's really just teaching myself self-discipline. Like, I can do this. I cannot drink because I said I would. And sticking with that is giving me a little sense of confidence. And it's making me really honestly love myself a little bit more. This was another part of the process that I didn't really expect to start happening already by week 1, was that I'm finding a little bit more self-love just because I am doing this. It's like, hey, I love myself enough to enact this change, really strive for this end goal, and make these daily and hourly choices to say no, to make better decisions for myself, for my health, my physical, mental health. It is kind of a self-love journey, and it's kind of beautiful. I'm beginning to feel little bits of my personality come back here and there, and I missed myself. Honestly, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to stop drinking was I missed myself. I could feel my personality fading. It would kind of be until I had a drink or two, and then, there I am, there she is. But now I'm starting to wake up earlier and just have my full personality come back. I can see it, I can feel it. And then it's just another part of this process that I'm falling in love with falling back in love with myself. It's a beautiful thing. I also think this process is helping me in the future and will continue to help me in the future by being able to discern and separate like what I want, what I desire now, and what I want in the end. So is it worth it to have a drink right now and feel that pleasure right now? Or is it more worth it to say no to that drink right now and in the future be happier with myself, with my choices, be healthier with my mental health, with my physical body, and be more productive, feel better about myself? By choosing to say no to a drink right now, I will probably do more things, get more done, and be happier with myself later. So I think this thought process will help me do this more in the future and be able to kind of move with an end goal more in mind than today's pleasure and today's satisfaction. And that is great because I kind of struggle with that a little bit. And like all things, this does take time. This takes practice. This is kind of difficult to do. But once you do it a few days, it gets easier and easier. That's kind of like every day on this process is almost getting easier and easier because, okay, one more day down, boom. Another day down, boom. It's practice, practice, practice. You can just keep going. I'm also finally now, day 7, day 8, it took a full week for myself to start feeling the full kind of enjoying the simple things, so when you're chasing these happy feelings, these endorphins with the drink, the joint, the food, the whatever the addiction is, you're seeking your dopamine in places where it's not naturally found. So once you take those things out, it does take a little bit. It took me, like I said, a full week to really start feeling happy little, at, just really simple things, like feeling content at tidying up and preparing the coffee for the morning, or going on a little walk and it's a stormy day outside. So when I went on a walk and I saw how fast the clouds were moving across the sky, I was like, wow, that is so beautiful, so cool. So it just started hitting me, I think, yesterday. Yesterday I had a really good day. I was finding joy in little things, kind of laughing at myself, and that was the first day. So it took a full 7 days for myself to start feeling that. But that makes me want to keep going because I'm finally starting to feel better on day 7 and 8. And then really the last thing that I wanted to kind of say ties back to one of the first things I said, was that I was obviously hiding from emotions, and I honestly don't really know why. It kind of confuses me now because it is harder to deal with this process of recovery, coming out of an addiction, dealing with all of the things that come up at once. It is overwhelming. It would be much better to, I think, deal with things as they come, like day by day. Deal with the crap that life throws at you. Deal with your feelings. Journal it out. Talk to somebody. Be active every day so that you can get these things out and they don't build up and you don't hide them with alcohol, with these other things, and then have to deal with them all at one time later, because it is overwhelming. It is terrifying and it's hard. And it would honestly be a lot easier to just do this kind of day by day, week by week, whatever, than have to deal with it all at one time. So it's kind of funny to me now. And I would have called you a liar if a week ago you'd be telling me that within the first week I would be kind of laughing at myself and finding something funny about this process. But here we are already starting to feel better. And I can honestly breathe a sigh of relief that I got through the first week, because I think that is the hardest part, is getting through the first week, because it feels like crap. You feel terrible. You feel terrible physically. I didn't get sleep for about 3 days. I felt like shit. Mentally, going to work was terrible. I honestly warned my coworkers. I was like, hey, I'm kind of going through this thing, so if you see me flip-flopping back and forth between emotions, like, don't worry, I will be okay. Because it is hard. But the fact that after the first week, I can start to see a little bit of a bright light at the end of the tunnel really, really makes me want to keep going. And if you are on this journey as well, I really hope that some of this helped you. Some of it maybe resonated with you, made you feel a little bit better. And I would love to chat about this, because we are going through this together, and there's nothing better than the support. The support system that we have here on Yoga with Paige has truly, truly been one of the most beneficial things in this whole process. And I thank every single one of you, if you're still watching this, from the bottom of my heart. Because without this tight-knit support system, I don't know if it would have been as easy to get through the first week than without it. So I am just so grateful and surprised by how many people are here to back me up. And I am here to back you up as well. I am rooting for you to make healthier choices, to live your happiest and your fullest life. And I just hope that some of this was helpful for you. And I am here as a support, as a loving friend, and as someone who is going through this process, this terrible journey with you. But I know that we can transform our lives for the better. I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. And I thank you so much for tuning in and just for being here, for fighting for one more day. Whatever you're dealing with, we can get through it in healthier ways and we can start to feel good again. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you. I will see you next time, whether it be a chat or a practice on the mat. Have a beautiful rest of your day, my friend. You got this. You got this. We got this together.